Hey, what's up guys? Sloth King here. Today I'm going to be working on my 4th gen Toyota 4Runner. It's a V6 and I'm going to be replacing my radiator because there's a leak on the driver's side. Apparently this is pretty common. It's not a huge leak right now, but I just want to get it done before it gets worse. I will also be doing a complete cooling system flush, so if you just need to do the flush, you can follow along with that. But if you need to replace your radiator, follow along with those steps as well. So I got a new Denso radiator cap, new hoses, and I also got a new thermostat. I will have everything in the link below for you to use. But as far as the tools that you will need today, you're gonna need a basic 3/4 ratchet set. You're gonna need some gloves. You're gonna need a few different types of pliers. I have some locking pliers, some needle nose pliers. You're gonna need a cooling burp funnel. I have a 5/8 hose. You're gonna need 2 different buckets. That's just a gallon bucket, and that's a 5-gallon bucket that will collect everything in there. And I almost forgot, you are going to need a plastic trim removal tool or some type of flathead. This is just a pry bar, but you can get away with a flathead screwdriver as well. And you're gonna need some official Toyota coolant. This is the long life, so this is the unmixed, so this will make 2 gallons. You can use the super long life, that's pre-mixed, so make sure you pick up 2 gallons of that. So I'm gonna be mixing it and putting that in there. And yeah, that's all you need. It shouldn't take too long, but yeah, I'll show you guys where the engine drain blocks are. And then the driver's side one is like the hardest one to get to. I don't know if I'll be able to reach that, but the passenger side is a lot easier. So how about we jump right in and start doing this. All right, before we start going too crazy, let's start draining out the radiator. So I have my wheels turned to the left on the driver's side, and right down here you can see the petcock. And then on this pan, this undercover, you're gonna see this hole. Usually there's a grommet in there, but mine fell out. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take your 5/8 hose, put it up through the bottom, and then on the bottom of that petcock, you can just slide the hose right on there. And then I'm using the smaller bucket for right now to catch everything, since I don't have my car up in the air. Next, we're just going to turn that petcock counterclockwise. If it's stuck, you can put some pliers on it, but mine is pretty loose. And there we go, starting to drain out. Don't open it all the way, because like that, see how it's dripping from there? You don't want it to do that. You just want to have it open a little bit, because if you take this whole thing out, coolant's just gonna splash that way. Now that's draining, we can go ahead and pop off our radiator cap. Now I was just driving this, so I'm going to wait until some of the coolant drains out, and then I will pop this. You want to do this while the engine's cold. You're just gonna pop it off, and then it'll just allow air to just push down and drain the coolant faster. Oh no, look, I have sprung a leak somehow. All right, got the radiator cap off. And now my coolant is coming out a lot faster. It's probably because it's at a weird angle, but we're just gonna let that drain. And in the meantime, we will start taking off some of this plastic and everything else. All right, now here comes the use for our trim removal tool. So these pop clips, you literally just put that in there, it'll pop up, and then you can take them out. Put them in a safe place. For right now, I'm just gonna put them on top of the battery while I take everything off, and then I'll probably throw them in the car. And if you don't have one of these, you can use some type of flathead. It'll pry it up, and if it's brittle, the plastic will just break off like that one did. You can pick these up somewhere from the dealer online. I've not gotten new ones yet, so if I find them, I'll leave a link. But yeah, take this off. There's gonna be clips here all along this whole piece right there, one over here, and then one down over by the headlight, and then another one down over by this headlight. And then once you take all these off, it will literally just come off. All right, with all those clips off, this plastic piece will now just come right off. And here is our radiator. And so next, we're going to take off this engine cover, because that will allow us to push this fan shroud a lot further. If not, it's just gonna get stuck on here. So these are just two 10mm bolts. Oh, that one's broken. And by bolts, I meant nuts. So after you take those two off, it'll swing up. You can put the nuts back on there, and then that will just come right off. So after that, we're going to take off our coolant reservoir. These are also a couple of 10mm. There's gonna be one here, and one right down here. This one, you'll probably need an extension. This is probably too long, but oh well. Remember, keep these in a safe spot. All right, now that's off. We can pop this thing off. If it's stuck on, you can just take your pliers and like loosely turn it. Now we can take our reservoir and just put it off to the side. And we can keep our bolts in the same area. That way we don't lose them. You can also use some of these magnetic trays just to store all the stuff in. We're gonna put this hose back on the reservoir. We're gonna be reusing that. It's about almost done draining. We'll still let it drain. We're gonna move forward and start taking off this fan shroud and some of the hoses. So you're gonna have a few 10mm bolts. There's gonna be one here, one towards the bottom. There's gonna be one right here on this side, and then another one. Wait, no, I think it's just these two. That'd be nice. Don't think I need the extension for that. Oh yeah, that's literally it. Sweet. Yeah, so there's just the two bolts, and then it'll just pop, it'll slide up. I'll show you the tabs when the radiator's out. And then we can move it around a little bit. We're gonna be able to like push that back, get some access. And if you can see that buildup of pink down there. Hopefully you can see it. That's where the radiator was leaking. So next, we have a few lines to take care of. So this is gonna be your radiator, I mean not your radiator, this is gonna be your transmission hose. Top one, bottom one, one's a feed and return. And then we're gonna have the lower radiator hose down there, and then the upper radiator hose over here. These are just on with some clamps. So let's start removing them. go. And yeah, it's a lot easier if you use bigger locking pliers. I just misplaced mine. And I guarantee you this hose will be a little bit stuck. But that's okay, we're replacing it anyway. We're just gonna worry about this one. You can get like a little pry bar or flathead. Try to get underneath the lip a little bit. There we go. All right, with that disconnected, we can come over here and start disconnecting our transmission lines. There might be some fluid that comes out, so let's be careful. All right, when we take off this transmission line, we're going to make sure it doesn't leak too much. So we're just gonna push this back, put like a cut water bottle down there, just to catch some of the stuff. Oh. All right, let's get this in position. All right, wasn't that much, so we're just gonna push that back a little bit. And then let's knock out the other two. All right, just got to twist a little bit and it should now come off, hopefully. Maybe not. This one is definitely a pain, and I hope it's showing up on camera like pretty decently. Oh, there we go, just got it. Sweet, and there's actually nothing coming out of the line. At least not too much. Now we can reach that bottom hose. We'll just try to put our pliers in like from an angle like this, putting it in and then clamp it and pulling it back. All right, got the clamp off. That wasn't too bad. Now let's see how hard it is to pull this hose off. As long as transmission fluid doesn't lightly drip on it. Oh, there we go. I just broke it loose and popped it off. Sorry if this was a terrible angle. It's there's not a good place to put this camera. All right, now we can I think that was all the coolant that was left in the radiator. Now what we can do, we can loosen the mounting bolts. There's going to be a bolt here. This should be a 12 millimeter. This one on the back side will be 13, I believe. Let me double check that. All right, so what you're gonna need a 12 millimeter to hold this, and then a 13 to hold the nut on the back side. Or what you can do, you can grab some wrenches. Grab a 13 millimeter wrench. Pop that on there, and then we can go ahead and start loosening this. All right, now we got the bolt out. Do the same thing on this side. All right, then we're gonna close our petcock on the bottom. Get this out of the way. And then up front, we're gonna, where these two were, there is another one right down here, right through this access port. You can feel it when you put your hand in there. There's gonna be one here, and then one right over here on this side, right where these two flaps are. And if you can see, there's a mounting bolt right down there. So I am going to have to grab another wrench. You're gonna see it's gonna be right by that lower radiator hose. You're gonna see the other nut, and yeah, it'll be a minute to take this out, but it's not too bad. And you actually might be able to reach it if you put a socket through this grill. Oh yeah, look at that. All right, so I'm just gonna pop my impact on it just to save some time. There we go. And then just do the same thing on the other side, and then it'll just come right out. There we go. And actually, using the impact, I did not need to hold I didn't need to hold my wrench on it. That might have saved some time. All right, now we can actually pull the radiator. Push it forward, and then just bring it straight up. And voila. Radiator officially out. And you can see right down here, this is right where it was leaking at. And look at all this room we have to play with in here. Woo! Sweet. All right, and while I'm in here, I told you I'm going to be replacing the radiator hoses, this thermostat housing. There's a new thermostat that comes with it. And yeah, this upper radiator hose. And then we're going to be draining the coolant from the block. So while I'm in here, I'm going to replace the hoses while I have like a good amount of daylight, and then we can drain the block, and then we can start filling up and burping the system. So let me go grab that stuff, and then we'll get right back to it. All right, so here's all the new parts. Got the new hoses, got the new thermostat. This is Aisin, so this is actually the Toyota brand. As you can see, comes with the new gasket and then new thermostat, so we'll pop that on. I will have the link to everything below. There's a new Toyota Radiator Cap, and let's let's make sure these hoses are going to fit. So that's gonna be the upper. That'll be easy. And then the lower, I think it goes like this. Yep. All right. So let's take these hoses off real quick. And we are going to reuse these clamps. And these are going to be 10mm nuts. Let's try to get that back one first. It's gonna be the trickiest. Maybe I can put the wrench right up under here. Oh yeah. Wow, that's such a tight spot to get to. All right, got that nut off. All right, got that off. And we're gonna have some coolant leaking. So let's get our bucket ready. Try to put it under here somewhere. So it's mostly gonna come right there. So let me just crack it open just a little bit. Let that drain. Uh-oh. There we go. I should have grabbed my other big drain pan. Oh no. Oh, that sucks. All right, well that's draining. We'll take all of this out. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wash all this off. Take our gasket off. I guess we should have hit our block drain first. So I'm gonna spray some of this water on it just to get the coolant off of everything. As long as you spray it in the same places, it's not gonna short anything. Yeah, we don't want any of that antifreeze just sticking around everywhere. All right, so now we can put our new thermostat housing on. And I actually don't know the torque value, so I'm gonna have to look that up. I will torque it down whenever I get the hose on though. Tighten it in a uniform manner. Don't tighten everything all the way, just go around it at first. Okay, so I cannot find a torque spec, so I'm just going to do 71 inch-pounds and like a quarter turn after. Wow, that one's really hard to get to. I'm just gonna have to do it by hand. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so just do 71 inch-pounds, I guess. All right, so now we're just going to pop our radiator in. Oh yeah. And always make sure this is tight. Sometimes they come pretty loose. Oh no, how did that get bent? Oh, that sucks. Everything looks good though. We can pop these caps off. We gotta save these for the future because I'm going to be doing an upgrade. All right, before we install this, we want to take these off. Oh, there's still more coolant in there. Oh wow. And let me pop that cap back on. All right, we're gonna want to replace or transfer our mounting points over. So you just grab it and then it'll just pop out. Then you can push the grommet through. Might be a little stuck. We're just going to do it for all of them and then we can put the radiator back in. All right, I got them all transferred over. Now we can pop it in. And then remember, the one on the passenger side has this little hook on it, and it's gonna hook right in here. This side doesn't have it, which is weird. All right, so we're gonna put our mounting bolts back on, same as what we did before. Then we're gonna put our hoses back on, and then I'll show you guys the drain block. All right guys, I got everything back in, everything's all on. Now we're gonna open up the drain block. I'm only gonna be able to get to the passenger side today, which if you can see it, it is that guy right there. So it's a 10mm bolt that's on it, and then we're just gonna crack it loose, but we're going to attach our hose to it and then just drain out the rest of the coolant. So let me see if I can get a decent shot. Got the hose on it, and then now let's crack it loose. There we go, got it open, and I'm just gonna let that drain. There's gonna be one on this side and then one on the driver's side. It's gonna be underneath that part of the exhaust manifold, right by that starter. Let me see if I can drop my camera down there. I'm not gonna be able to get to that. I think I would have to go underneath the driver's side, but yeah, as long as I get this side, that'll be enough. And then we can go ahead and fill up the coolant system, or coolant. Wow, I can't even speak. We can go ahead and start filling up the cooling system, and then burp everything. So let me go ahead and let this drain, and then we'll pick up right where we start filling stuff up. All right, I got almost a gallon out of that. There's about another quart that's left in the heater core, but it'll be okay. I'll probably flush it again sometime in the summer next year. But now we can start filling this up. I tightened that down. I don't know the torque spec on that, but I got it tight enough to where no coolant was coming out. So let's start pouring this in, and then let's start it up and burp the system. So if you guys don't know what burping the system is, that's just getting all the air that's out of the system, the coolant system, so that way you don't overheat. And yeah, that's about it. We want every part of the cooling system to have coolant in it. If there's any air, it's going to cause some hot spots, and you can potentially overheat, or you'll see your temp gauge like fluctuate like that. So it should take almost 2 gallons. And on here, for this funnel that I'm going to link below, it's going to be I believe it's a C1. You're just going to match up the radiator cap so it can like screw on. Once it's tight, you'll know that it won't leak. So let's go ahead and start filling this up. While that's filling up, let's double check and make sure we don't have any leaks. That looks good in there. No leaks there. No leaks down here. Perfect. All right, now that it stopped going in, this is when we can start up the car, and then just let it cycle through. All right, so let's go ahead and start it up. We're going to turn our system on completely. We're gonna have it on recirculate. We're gonna have it on high coolant temperature, or inside cabin temp, up all the way. That will allow the heater core to open up and the whole system to cycle through. That way we can get all of the air out of the system. And look at that. My turn signal light bar came in handy. It illuminates. And actually I can turn on my headlights. Maybe we'll get some white light under here. So yeah, we're just gonna let the car warm up. We're waiting for that thermostat to open up. When it opens up, after we did this whole thing, it's gonna just suck the coolant down. And we're just gonna wait. We're gonna add more coolant in it, and we're gonna wait until it gets up to temp, and then you're gonna start seeing a bunch of bubbles come out. And once the bubbles subside, that means we have no more air in our system. Everything's looking good. And if you can see, hopefully you can see, we can see our coolant funnel over there. Yeah, so we're gonna give it a little bit of gas, probably about like 2,000 RPMs. That way it can like warm up a little bit faster. Nothing crazy. It's still cold, you know, you don't want to just rev it up to like 3,000-4,000 RPMs. You want around 2,000, let it slowly warm up. We're gonna keep an eye on that funnel. I hope you can see it. That way, when you're in the car, you can actually see it a lot better. You're gonna see like bubbles come out. You're gonna see the coolant like just get sucked down. All right, we're just about halfway, and I'm seeing some bubbles coming from that coolant jug. Waiting for that thermostat to open up, and we'll see it in action. So yeah, there's some bubbles coming out. That means the thermostat's just about to, it's slowly opening up. It's getting up to temp, and then it's just releasing a lot of the air. And what we can do to prevent like a lot of splashing is just, you know, cover that just a little bit. Let's go check out the temperature. It's about halfway. I just saw the needle go back down a little bit. Nice, that's good. And we're just gonna keep doing this until we see 0 bubbles come out of there. So yeah, let it cycle through like, I don't know, like 2 to 3 times. Preferably, I prefer to let it cycle through 3 times. And then afterwards, if you don't see that like spike up or anything, then we can go ahead and finish off capping everything up. All right guys, I'll let it cycle through, and there's no more bubbles coming out. Well, just a little bit, not too bad. If you guys really want to like make sure that you get all the air out, you can park on an incline and keep doing it. That way all the air cycles all the way up front. But I'm pretty confident that I got majority of the air out. So now what we can do, we can just shut off the car and then cap this off. All right, so with this thing, this is a plunger. Gonna put that in there, block it off. Gonna take that up. Watch out, there's gonna be a little bit of coolant that comes out. Go ahead and take that off. Put your radiator cap on immediately. And then put the rest of this inside of your overflow tank. And that's it, guys. All right, guys, so that took about 2 hours or so, and that's how you go ahead and replace your radiator, and then you do a whole coolant flush. Now, I could only get to one of the drain blocks, or coolant drain on the passenger side of the block. You can do the driver's side, but I got almost a gallon out. So yeah, if this video helped you guys out, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to see more videos like these, and I will catch you on the next ride.